What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Christian Corey. A lot of news going around again in Major League Baseball per usual. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, first, let's talk about Jose Altuve, the little cheater. He's still a cheater. Don't care. The little cheater has revealed he has COVID-19. It says the Astros second baseman Jose Altuve said Saturday he tested positive for COVID-19 last week, which is why he and 4 of his teammates were placed on the injured list on April the 14th. Altuve wasn't sure how he got the virus, but he was cleared to return to Minute Maid Park on Friday to resume workout with the club. Astros manager Dusty Baker said it will take a few days for Jose Altuve to be able to get back into baseball shape to return to the lineup. Altuve said he feels good physically and appears to have put the virus behind him, though he didn't say if he had suffered any symptoms. Altuve had to stay away from the club for 10 days before being cleared by Major League Baseball. Altuve said, quote, "It was very difficult to just watch the guys on the TV and not be able to be there with them like I normally am," said Altuve, who had received the first shot of COVID-19 vaccine. Altuve went on to say, "Like I said, I'm happy to be back here." Baker said he looked great in BP. He's been running, he's been throwing, and kind of doing boyhood stuff. Running in the backyard, throwing against the wall, hitting off a tee. He looked great. It was the first time he took live BP Friday. It looks like he got his stroke. But that's BP. We want to make sure he's ready physically. Altuve, third baseman Alex Bregman, DH Yordan Alvarez, catcher Martin Maldonado, and infielder Robles Garcia were all placed on the COVID-19 IL prior to April 14th, the game against the Detroit Tigers. So, some big news coming out of Houston, Texas, revolving around a small man in Jose Altuve, talking about how he got the COVID-19 virus. You know, it's really weird that in the beginning of the article, they said that 4 of his teammates were placed on the injured list due to COVID. They didn't mention the names, but at the end of the article, they mentioned the names. I thought that other guys tested positive for COVID. I knew that was a thing. I just didn't remember who exactly tested positive. I thought Bregman was among one of them, and I turned out to be right, but I just wanted to make sure. So did Alvarez, so did Maldonado. A lot of big guys on that Astros squad tested positive for the COVID-19, so that wasn't good. But again, the little cheater got knocked down for a couple of days with the COVID-19 virus. Just thought that was interesting. That's why he was out of the lineup. I thought that was pretty interesting that he got the COVID-19 vaccine. One of them, the first one, and still got COVID-19. I thought all players were by now at least vaccinated. At least, you know, the big guys. I don't mean to prioritize them over their talent, but let's be real. I mean, if you're going to have a COVID-19 vaccine on a Houston Astros, are you going to have it, you know, first for Jose Altuve? Or are you going to have it for the bullpen catcher? Yeah, you know, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. But I'm surprised that he still got the virus after he got the first shot. He got COVID-19. He should be back and ready to go for Houston and the Astros. That is their little second baseman, Jose Altuve. Next topic on the list involves Mike Trout. Yes, Mike Trout got injured a couple days ago in Houston after getting hit in the elbow, and he's still out from that injury. It says for the second straight day, Angels superstar Mike Trout was absent from the starting lineup, but the injury is not believed to be serious. Trout was hit on his left elbow by a fastball thrown by Astros starter Christian Javier during Thursday's game and later exited the game. After being a late scratch from Friday's lineup, Trout was given another day off on Saturday against Houston. Manager Joe Madden said Trout is still being considered day-to-day, but the belief is that Trout won't see time on the injured list. So that's a good thing. But again, he got hit in the elbow. He did have an elbow guard. That's a good thing. Every player should, I think personally, be required to wear an elbow guard. Same thing with the helmet. That's just me. Comment down below if you think it should be required for them to wear an elbow guard. I'm glad he wore it, but some guys don't. I guess that's your prerogative, and if you get hurt, that's kind of on you. But again, I'm glad he wore the elbow guard. That's a good thing. Madden says it's all been kind of a day-to-day thing until the swelling really dissipates, and he feels comfortable swinging the bat again. Madden said during a pregame press conference on Saturday. Madden said Trout has not had any x-rays or further testing on the elbow. So they haven't x-rayed it. No further testing. I'm sure it's a bone bruise. I would assume it's a bone bruise. Bone bruises, they're just more irritating. They're more tender, especially on the elbow. As long as he can move the elbow, and you know, I guess if it's on his front shoulder, that'd be his left hand. So he's not throwing with that hand. He's catching with it. But as long as he can extend it, you know, and rotate it, he'll be fine. They haven't taken x-rays. I think they should if he's out for, you know, more than 2-3 days here. But again, they want to avoid and be optimistic when it comes to Trout. But again, it could be a very serious injury. It would have been more serious. He probably would have broke his bone if he did not have the elbow guard. But that's just something I wanted to talk about today. Forgot to mention it in yesterday's video. He'll be back sooner rather than later, and will avoid a stint on that injured list. Next guy we got to talk about is Christian Yelich. Yes, another big bat, another big slugger in the league now for the Milwaukee Brewers. He has an injury update. He will be on the 10-day injured list. A lot of big guys going down. You had Trout, you had Betts, you had Tatís, obviously. Now you got Christian Yelich with a back problem in Milwaukee. Here is an article from MLB.com. Says, on the day he was eligible to come off the 10-day injured list from back stiffness, Christian Yelich instead was back in Milwaukee on Saturday for an MRI scan that he and the Brewers hoped will reveal some answers. The team was optimistic just a day earlier that the weekend would bring better news for its superstar left fielder, who hit in the cages at Wrigley Field on Friday and took part in other baseball activities on the field during batting practice. He has not played since April 11th in St. Louis. Quote, with Christian, unfortunately, we've hit a bit of a plateau here, Brewers manager Craig Counsell said. Nothing bad happened Friday. He did the day of work that we were expecting. We're just at a plateau, so we are just trying to rule everything out and see if we can get another piece of information. If the MRI reveals no structural damage, Counsell said, I don't think rest will be the answer. But I do think we have to recognize that we've plateaued a little bit here, and that's what today is about. Hopefully this MRI adds a piece of information that will let us progress. Christian is not feeling good enough to go full bore. This is not great for Christian Yelich. If there's no structural damage there, it means, you know, it's just something that's bugging him. It has bugged him before. It's not the best news in the world, but I do believe when it comes to Yelich, if there's no structural damage, that's a good thing. However, it could, you know, mean that he's going to have to change some things when it comes to maybe his swing, the way he prepares. He's a very lanky guy. I mean, I guess all position players, anybody who hits, you know, really uses their back and their legs to really turn and create power, whether you're from the left or the right side hitting. But again, Christian Yelich, he needs to be careful here with this back injury. I mean, it's hard to get him off his feet. Hopefully it doesn't bother him when he's swinging. I would assume it does, considering it's his back. But again, hopefully he can, you know, kind of muscle through this one. If there's no structural damage, that's a good thing. But again, a bad thing because there's no really solution to it. He's just going to kind of have to figure it out on his own. But again, got to keep an eye on Christian Yelich and the back. Next, let's talk about Fernando Tatís Jr., the last thing on the list. Fernando Tatís Jr. had a big night in Los Angeles, California against the Dodgers. Back on Friday night, he hit 2 home runs in his, not first day back, but in his first week back from the IL. He hit 2 home runs, and coincidentally, it was on the same day as his father, Fernando Tatís Sr., hit 2 grand slams in 1 inning at Dodger Stadium. He hit 2 home runs off Clayton Kershaw. Both of them, I do think, were off Clayton Kershaw, if I'm not mistaken. They were on, I do believe, a fastball and a slider, both in the inner half part of the plate, and he killed it. I mean, he did a good job. Now, again, I might look like an idiot saying that, my last video criticizing Fernando Tatís Jr., not really criticizing him, but I was really just not confident in him coming back and being the same guy that he was before the IL, because the way his swing was constructed. It wasn't just me. Everybody else was talking about it, how his swing is obviously different. The two-handed approach, will it work? Can it work? Some could have thought that maybe it could deteriorate his power, but no, it did the exact opposite. Here's an article from MLB.com that clearly states that the changes of him going from a two-hand finish did not affect Fernando Tatís Jr. at all in the power department. It says, those changes haven't cost Tatís anything. He's still hitting balls harder than ever, and that's a fact. In his last 4 games, Tatís has scorched 7 baseballs at 100+ miles an hour. His average exit velocity is 104.8 miles an hour. Tatís, 2 home runs on Friday night, checked in at 113.4 miles an hour and 115.9 miles an hour off the bat. I mean, wow, he just rocketed these 2 balls. I saw live. I was like, whoa, this two-handed approach worked. And again, obviously, it would make sense, more power using 2 hands. It makes sense that his exit velo is through the roof. Again, you would think after coming off a shoulder injury, that wouldn't be the case. That, his exit velocity, if anything, would deteriorate and go downhill. But no, the two-handed approach seemed to work. But again, there's something to note here, is that this two-handed approach, although has been beneficial for him with a fastball inside and a slider at 86 mile an hour inside, what about the slider outside from a right-hander that's dipping away? What about a high and outside fastball? Can he reach that? And I still think the answer is to be determined on MLB Tonight. I was watching it just before I started filming, that they showed him taking BP on MLB Tonight before the game. But it was obvious that Fernando Tatís Jr. During BP was telling the pitching coach, or the guy who was pitching to him, to throw balls on the outer part of the plate. Whether it was fastballs or off-speed pitches, it didn't matter. He wanted the ball outside, and he still had a hard time reaching the outside pitched ball. Whether fastball or changeup or curveball or slider or whatever it was, he had a hard time reaching for the ball on the outer part of the plate. He might be better at hitting the inside fastball and the inside pitches now because of two-handed approach, but might eliminate the outside part of the plate, and then he might be susceptible to some out pitches on the outer part of the plate. So that's something to talk about and look at and consider when you're looking at Fernando Tatís Jr. and what he's going to do in the future. Alrighty guys, that's all I got for today's video. So as always, hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends about these videos, share them videos, and I will catch you later.